Welcome to Vida Bunda, a place where we discuss life change, how we can be more intentional so that we can give and live more abundantly. We all have some very limiting beliefs, and those beliefs cause us to not be able to really get to where we want to be. Our life can actually begin to change when we identify the resources that we already have. So in today's episode, we're going to be talking about those tendencies that we have that are limiting us and how to bring about that mindset shift. Let's get started. Many years ago, I was traveling with my family and we had a very old car. And we're going down the road and all of a sudden there was this horrible noise and we stopped the car and we got out and we realized that one of the leaf springs had broken. We started to wonder, what are we going to do and how are we going to get to our destination? And we looked inside the car and we found that in fact we were carrying a spare leaf spring because the previous owner of the car had left it in there just in case the next one ever broke. The problem was we didn't have the tools to actually change the leaf spring, and we weren't quite sure exactly how to do it. So we walked to the nearest house, and we asked if we could borrow or rent a wrench, and they said, yes, you can rent a wrench. So we had one wrench, but we still didn't know how we were going to change the leaf spring on the car. We're standing there kind of wondering what to do, and a pickup truck came by, and in the back of the pickup truck, there was this girl, and as the pickup truck was slowing down, coming to pass us, my sister yelled out the girl's name. It was somebody that she knew. And that car happened to be stopping at the house where we had rented the wrench. And the driver of that car was the girl's dad, who also was a friend of my parents. And so that guy came over and he had a whole tool chest full of tools, and he had changed leaf springs before. He knew exactly how to do it. And after a little while, we were on our way with the replacement leaf spring. But as we were standing there initially, we were wondering what we're going to do. And we want to talk today about how we have some tendencies in our life that really limit us. Well, the first of those is that we tend to only focus on what we don't have rather than what we do have. And this is just a natural human tendency. When we visit places around the world, or whether it be in North America or Europe, wherever you are, people, all of us tend to think about, oh, I wish that I had this or the other, if only I could have those things. And we tend to focus on what we don't have rather than what we do have. The other thing, the second tendency, is that we tend to focus on physical resources. So we tend to think about, well, okay, so I do have some money, but we're not really thinking about all the other kinds of resources that we have in our lives that are just as valuable or perhaps even more valuable than the physical things that we can touch. And one of those things is the third tendency is that we tend to forget about the importance of relationships and about skills that we already have. Right? We tend to think more about the car and the house or the bank account and not so much about the relationships that we have and how valuable those are. So that's the first thing, is that we have these tendencies that limit us in our ability to progress, to make changes in our lives. So what do we do about that? Well, I'd like to suggest to you today that one of the first things we can do is to discover resources that we already have. And so we start by doing that by making some general categories of resources. And I've already mentioned some things like physical resources, that's one category. Relationships that we have, or connections, social connections to other people, that's another one. So after we've made a list of certain categories, then we can go back into those categories and list the specific things. I have a relationship with David. I have a relationship with Fred, or whatever the names are of those specific people. And then go through and think about your skill set as well, and how the things that you already know how to do, the things that you have capacity to do, the things that you've learned, and just detail with as much detail as possible every single one of those things that you already have. The connections, the abilities, the skills, the physical things you can touch, the knowledge, and all of those things. And the third step then is to actually take a good look, a serious look at that list. Review that intent, that whole list, and look at it carefully and think about, what do you observe? What do you observe as you see that list? The first thing probably most of us will do is to say, wow, I'm amazed. I actually do have a lot of resources. Maybe I'm not as poor as I thought I was. Secondly, we can be grateful. We can be thankful that we have so many different things already. And then we can analyze a little bit and say, okay, now many of these things on that list, Yes, I have them, but I haven't really been using them to the full potential. And this is an opportunity then to start thinking about how could I use those things that I already have in a better way to actually bring about more change in my life. I'd like to invite you to share in the comments of this episode one insight that you gained from this exercise. And if you're interested in having a tool to help you do that listing of resources, I'd love to offer you a free tool to help you in that process with some questions and categories. Makes it really easy for you. You can just go to vidabunda.com and contact us and request the tool for discovering resources. That's vidabunda.com and click on contact us. I look forward to seeing you in the next episode.